Well, I was trying to grow me some more scuppernongs off of this vine that kept dying on me, and the winter killed it the last 2 years. And if you can look up under here, you can see the main root of this old thing. It's been there 20-some years, and it died back. And I'm going to try to make some of these. I could make some of these grow, but what I'm going to do with these is just dig them up and plant them somewhere else. You notice it doesn't get much sun there. So I took all these loose, and in the bottom of this mess is what I pulled out of the, if I could find one. Here's one that was on the ground, so it never formed any roots because the whole parent plant was dead. I did make a little mistake. I cut one of them off. And right here, I was looking down through the weeds, and this was a dead main shoot, and I cut back, and it was all just dead. And I got down and reached under there and cut it off, and I cut off that little shoot right there, which I could bury with some root tone and get one to grow, which I might do. But I've got those off. I've got that one on that one. I've taken the wire cage off of it, and I might try to put a couple of these containers over here and do the same thing. Pull one of these branches through it and tie the container up to that upper wire, and see if I can get it to root, because I've got one for the lower wires. I've got that one for the upper wire. I got this one for the upper wire, and I've got this one as a spare in case one of these gets broken off or dies. And normally when it gets on the upper wire and you twist it around there, it's pretty much good to go. And the muscadine, you want it to grow as much as you can on the first year. And see, that one's doing really well because this was got put in the ground last year, and the stem has tripled in size. And I've already started one a little bit back. Now whether or not it's going to make it, I don't know, but it's still attached to the parent plant. But I'm going to attach a couple, at least 2 or 3 of these, because right now you don't want anything growing below here, so everything will go into those two and those two, including this one as a spare. And all this really needs to be cut off, and since I have to cut it off anyway, I'm going to see if I can't get one to root. And what I'll do is just knock these leaves off, and those axillary joints will hopefully root, and I'll cut these off and pull them through the bottles and just leave it on there live, and it should root because it's live. And unfortunately that one, we did it early before really bud break, or as bud break was happening, and they didn't make it because the parent plant was dead. It's just like this. If this was dead and you put the stems in it and it hadn't leafed out, it can't make roots and grow because the parent plant was dead. And hopefully this one will take. And once I can see roots in here, I'll just clip it off, and then I have another plant. But that's the object of the game, so I might show a video with these bottles tied up on this plant. And I've cut this back some, try to get a little air circulation through it. You can see the pile of mess over there. It needs a little air because they do get a tendency to have mold. And this thing had fire blight on it, not fire blight, black rot. And I don't know. I'm trying to get some more of these scuppernongs. We ruled it out. We think this original plant down here was a Carlos, because it's you know, self-fertilizing scuppernong, and that was really popular when we planted that years and years ago. And hopefully I can dig these two up and plant them. And I might get rid of those over there because they just have a tendency to get disease, and the scuppernongs don't generally because they're native to this area. And here's our apple tree. It's still producing. We've had a lot of apples fall on the ground, and we're getting into June where you get the apple drop, and hopefully the plant realizes, see, all these had 5, 6, 7 apples on them. And you don't need that many, so it didn't matter with some of them dropping because you're going to have plenty of apples anyway. And these are healthy, nice size apples. Most of the kings stayed on there. You notice the bigger ones are the kings. But there's a lot of apples in here. Actually too many. apple trees, most fruit trees, but they produce more apples than they can possibly support. And to save the tree, they just dump some of the apples hormonally. The tree just goes, I've got too many apples, I'll get rid of them. But by the time it starts getting rid of them, the hormones might not know it and not quit. And pretty soon you don't have many apples at all. So that's why people knock them off. This is the original scuppernong. See how big and old this thing was? It's that big around. These are the shoots that came out of it. And all the ones that I tried to tap into like this and put soil around a drinking bottle and make roots and make a plant. Well, the whole thing was dead. Hadn't blooded it out. And here's another part of the root. And I'm going to try to dig this out and take a recip saw and get all the roots out here I can. And just plant it over there and make a scuppernong row. And I'm not going to give up trying to make one. Now here's the one that I had from last year, and it's mated up here. But in case you haven't seen any of these before, that one broke on its own. Either the wind, a bird landed on it, or whatever. And see, I've got a real healthy one going that direction. And so this one is going to be up here for this side, and I've got it tied up with a nylon tie to keep it there. And in case anything happens to either one of those, I'm saving this one. And all of these I've got to cut off. So I'm trying to root them. And see, I've got 6 of them here, because I got to cut them off anyway. It is draining energy from the plant when you're trying to make growth on the muscadine. And see, I've got one going on that wire and that wire. And if these take and I get roots on here and I can cut them off, then I would at least get plants off of it. And then eventually I'll have to cut this one off. But right now, that's going to be my second Y. Unfortunately, that one broke off. No fault of mine. This is leaning over from the weight of all these. But that's what we're trying to do here.